About 70% of the world's cocoa beans come from West Africa, specifically Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Equatorial warm and wet climates in the two countries favor growth of the cocoa tree. Harsh conditions like hot, dry Sahel winds from the Sahara at time of flowering or heavy rains during harvest lead to crop failure. Climate change is predicted to cause both long dry spells and erratic weather events. Both are bad for cocoa on the farm and by extension on the market. This 12-acre cocoa farm belongs to Nana Adakwa in the Bosontwe district of the Ashanti region. Like other farmers, Adakwa feels the pinch of climate change.
Concerning the drought, every year, let's say every year, it affects our cocoa. And the drought affects the cocoa farm. The yields decrease.
He says the drought is taking a toll on his farm.
Sometimes we had the seedlings around August, September. So immediately you planted it. November, that was the last rain. So the drought was between 2 to 3 months, or less than 3 months. So it affects the young ones.
So what happens to them?
It died.
So how many trees, cocoa trees, died last year? Your own, I mean.
My own is, let me say about 1,000 something.
Died from the drought?
The drought.
You were not able to do anything about it?
You see, what I wanted to do is I wanted to drill a borehole at my farm so that I use the water to water it, but the cost involved was too much, so I couldn't do it.
Nana Adakwa is not alone. Charles Jemfi has similar concerns.
If you can see that, look at the cocoa trees, that some are dying like this. When the heavy weather comes, you see, it started fattening. That's why I started planting trees to avoid that. Even they always advise us to plant flower more, and other trees. But the climatic change is very, very bad to us. Now that it's changing, the rain pattern have changed. You see that the thing have for look at the fruits.
Many research works have concluded that increasing temperature and declining rainfall trend will reduce cocoa output in the future. There are therefore suggestions that the chocolate industry must embrace climate-smart agriculture to mitigate the shattering effects of the rising temperature on millions of cocoa farmers across the world.
Satisfying our demand for chocolate in 2050 will require significant changes to the industry. Enokwame Sia is Senior Scientific Officer at the Mabang Megakaya Selection Program near Tepa in the Ashanti region.
During the dry season, most farmers lose a lot of their young cocoa plantains. And so year in, year out, they go back to do replacements. Now, all due to this harsh environmental climate that we are getting these days. It is not under our mandate. It is costing them more in terms of having to water their cocoa during the dry season. And that is why, as I said earlier, a group of scientists have also devoted a lot of resources and attention to researching into how to make the cocoa plant more resilient.
Dr. Robert Edu is economist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
If we are unable to manage the climate effect, the negative effect of climate on cocoa production, then lots of livelihoods are going to suffer. People are going to suffer in terms of food security, in terms of income security. And in fact, socially, people are going to suffer because when it comes to payment of school fees and everything at the household level, cocoa producing households will depend largely on money from cocoa. So I think it's important that we begin to look at the negative impact that the changes in climate will have on cocoa production and revenues from cocoa.
So what do you think these individual farmers should be doing from now?
I think that what has to be done going forward is to begin to look at alternative livelihoods for cocoa farmers. So if you go to places where they have cleared all the land and they are using it to produce cocoa, you ask yourself, if cocoa is no more there, what are they going to do? So if government can begin to think about other means of livelihoods, can introduce them to micro livestock production, for example, grass cutter production, snail production, small ruminant production, and then vegetable production, so that when cocoa revenues are falling, farmers can depend on revenues from these other sources.
Just as modern horticulture in developed economies have become industrialized, similar technologies can be applied to cocoa farming. These approaches promise to meet demands for commodity and specialty markets. Chocolate will not disappear, but it will and should become more expensive. Mahmud Mohammed-Nurudeen reporting.
As a pass Ivory Coast, I had 2 million tons of cocoa, and a Ghana, it does 800, and Banasa women breso. We're going to go 1 million and a half during these next 3 years.